Life moves at a rapid pace on the streets of Tokyo, which are full of dynamic sights that greet the eye. Look around wherever you go, and you'll begin to notice a common motif that permeates the city: manga. Book racks at train station kiosks and convenience stores are stocked almost daily with the latest manga magazines. And if you happen to stop by a cafe or a restaurant, chances are there'll be someone there enjoying a manga while eating or drinking. People are often under the impression that manga are for kids, but in Japan, it's not just children who read these comics. Many manga feature topics and themes that are geared towards mature readers.
Visit any bookstore in the city, and you'll immediately discover this dynamic for yourself. Most bookstores designate entire areas just for manga, while some of the larger bookstores that occupy several floors have an entire floor dedicated to manga. It is on the shelves of these bookstores that you will find the qualities that define manga culture, according to Keiichiro Morikawa, who researches manga, anime, and video games.
Comics exist throughout the world, and each country has their own comics culture. But what differentiates Japanese manga culture is its huge diversity of content. Every bookstore features a large area that is stocked with both manga books and magazines. There are manga that target boys and manga that target girls. There are manga geared towards young men and manga geared towards young women and even older women. And these manga are serialized in manga magazines, each of which caters to a different demographic. Manga magazines shape the way in which manga are crafted and sold, and that gives the editors and editorial departments of these magazines a unique role in manga culture. This is also one of the defining traits of manga culture.
Every manga magazine has its own distinctive type of content, which is narrowly tailored towards a very specific reader demographic. Most manga artists make a living by serializing their works in such magazines. An artist by nature tends to work alone. However, during every step of the process until the manga is published, there is always one person standing by the artist's side. This is the magazine editor.
This is the editorial department of a manga magazine geared towards girls that dates back to 1974. The editorial department is tasked with providing a magazine its identity and ensuring that the published manga respect the magazine's readers. Editors such as Shinsuke Makino have a particularly important role to play. One might even say that they are the key figures who shape Japan's manga culture. Although he is currently editor-in-chief at the magazine, as an editor, Makino has supervised the work of some of the top names in manga.
We spend most of our time meeting with artists to discuss their manga. We offer our opinions on new manga they have in development and also offer advice for their current work on how to change a scene or a bit of dialogue so their ideas are conveyed more clearly to the reader. So it's basically an exchange of ideas. Sometimes we'll even bring up our own ideas.
Not all discussions end in agreement, but because a magazine is a commercial enterprise, there are times when the editor must hold firm.
When something absolutely needs to be changed, it's because I feel it's for the artist's own good. If that's the case, I will insist on the change being made. I understand that a manga is the sole work of the artist and that any praise or criticism is directed solely at the artist. But as an editor, I do feel the weight of that praise or criticism. My approach to my job is always to work together with the artist to create something great.
Yuri Yamamoto is an editor at this monthly publication, where she supervises Aya Kanno, the author of Requiem of the Rose King. is responsible for a number of different tasks.
What is it you're doing right now?
I'm adding notes to a rough draft of this manga. Before a manga goes to print, so say in the form of a book or magazine that goes out into the world, I make notes about the font that should be used, about which letters need to be in lowercase, and if there's an ellipsis, how much space there should be between each dot. Lots of notes.
But an editor's job is not limited to offering creative support to a manga artist.
We also do a lot of promotional work for the manga artists we've been assigned. So, when a manga book is published, I might go on Twitter and write something to promote the book. If you've ever seen those signs in bookstores advertising specific manga, that blurb was written by an editor. We also work with the manga artist to decide on the cover art and the promotional copy to print on the strip that wraps around the book, which is a common feature of Japanese books. So I guess you could say that we editors are involved in the whole manga making process from beginning to end.
On this day, Yamamoto is visiting Aya Kanno at her studio to discuss her latest work. Yamamoto has worked with Kanno for almost 10 years, since the beginning of Requiem of the Rose King.
She is definitely one of the most, how would you say, one of the most determined editors I've ever worked with. Someone who really loves manga. If I tell her what I want to do, she'll think through the idea with me. And most of the time, she's pretty open to my ideas. In fact, she'll even come up with ways to make my ideas work even better.
We asked Kanno whether, as a manga artist, she feels that an editor is a necessary part of her work process.
Speaking for myself, I do feel that an editor is indispensable to my work. If you're drawing manga as a hobby, I'm sure it's a lot more fun to work without an editor. But when you're creating a commercial product with a huge reader base, there's a danger of producing something that only satisfies yourself. So it's good to have an editor to keep you in check. Also, manga artists tend to work alone, and I don't mean in a cool way. So it's nice to know that there's someone out there who cares about your work and wants to support you. It's just very, comforting.
Behind every manga is the passion of an artist who has thrown themselves completely into their work. What an editor does is help the artist shape that passion into the form of a product so that it can be delivered to readers around the world.
Ideally, every manga I supervise would go on to become a huge hit. But as much as I might wish for this to happen, that's just not how things work in reality. At the end of the day, my job is to provide all the support a manga artist needs to create their work. So it's the little things that are more important to me, like an artist telling me how much they liked working with me, or suggesting how we can take our partnership to the next level. Those are the moments that make this job really worth it.
I honestly think that creating manga is a struggle for many artists. Once in a while, you get someone so talented that they can come up with ideas left and right. But I feel that for many artists, it's difficult to continue drawing a manga unless they are getting some kind of reaction or response. A manga artist pours their blood, sweat, and tears into every work they produce. I'm serious. And something like that deserves to be read by millions of people, become a hit. And as an editor, the least I can do is make sure I'm doing everything in my power to make that happen.